we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast for any reason, let us know. If you wanted to hear about a certain topic, come on as a guest on one of the episodes here. I know that's how some of our other guests have joined us here on the Bigmark podcast. And, you know, I don't do this just to hear myself talk. I want to hear you guys too. So come on and join the fun here in the old Bigmark studio, aka my apartment. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your time and energy for being here. And, you know, this is the best possible way you can support the podcast. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart and from here at the Bigmark Podcast. And if you wanted to help us out a little bit more, like and share the podcast with your friends, you know, like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that fun stuff. And if you want to go with an extra mile, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thebigmarkpod. And there's a few different ways to support us there. So again, thank you all for being here. I don't know how long you've been following us along here on the Bigmark podcast, but not too long ago, I did do a podcast on Pokemon. I'm pretty sure I also did one on the trading card game itself, and just kind of how my interest has been a little bit piqued in it. And I got to say, this is kind of one of these things where, you know, I love talking about my interests here on the podcast, but this is kind of one where I feel like this is like a mega nerdy side that I've been nurturing. I don't know, super interesting. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I've definitely been on more the I guess nerdy side, if you will, or academic side in the sense of my interests, so to speak. But I don't know, something about it at work. We started playing Pokemon I mentioned this in the podcast if you want to go watch back, but if you haven't seen it, the boys at work started playing Pokemon, the trading card game, like on our phone, like the pocket version, which is not even the full version. But yeah, it was just like kind of switched the style up, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not so into the games. It was so funny. It was like one of these things where I was like, I can tell this could be fucking crazy. Like, this could be like this whole thing. Because again, I was just like, it piqued my interest. But what we're going to talk about today anyway is one of the specific sets. If you don't know much about Pokemon, it's one of the specific sets that have come out, well, relatively recently, a few years ago now. But, you know, there's all these different card sets. And again, I guess not going too far into it, I'm not necessarily collecting the cards to play the card game with. It's just, I was just saying that is the pocket, the card game we were playing kind of got me back interested in my Pokemon cards. And then my other buddy at work, Chris, was kind of saying, hey, some of these older cards are actually worth something now. And I knew this too, you know, Logan Paul or Jake Paul, I can't remember who, has like a gem mint, like original Charizard, which comes from like the original set that was released back in the day. And it was like over $1 million or something stupid. And again, you know, all these things, it's just, it only is worth what people will pay for it, right? So it becomes really, or what someone has paid for it. So it becomes this really interesting world. And, you know, I'm not going to get into it so much today because I kind of got into it on past episodes, but you know, it's almost like trading stocks, the way that people are starting to treat these like Pokemon assets. And there's all these scalpers involved now, and people that have no real interest in the collecting or the actual content of the cards. They just know it's like, it's easier to bet on a Pokemon card than it is any football game. So like, it's one of these things where you just, depending on the set, if it's old at least, you can almost guarantee that it's only going to appreciate in value, at least as the market stands. I mean, there's always going to be a bubble. Things will always burst. But as things are going, and as we're going to talk about today, you know, things are kind of cyclical here. You know, for years, Pokemon fans have held the kind of reverence for the number 151, the original lineup, the ones who started it all. And in 2003, Pokemon brought them back, not in a video game, but in the form of a trading card set designed to capture lightning in a bottle all over again. And like I said, you know, it's kind of blended nostalgia and the news and this set the 151 trading card game set, which is like under Scarlet and Violet, and there's like, you know, Pokemon always are coming out with these different sets, and they always have different names, and you know, it also kind of coincides, I think, with the video game as well. But this card set was the original ones, like I said, the 151, the first 151 Pokemon, and Pokemon Company decided to reissue them all in one. Like I said, you know, 151 is important to people. It was the foundation for the entire franchise, and you know, all the cards that I got as a kid were 1 through 151. There weren't any other cards really outside until, you know, time went on. But the first set that came out, which came out in 1999, which is interesting, they came out in 2003. Like maybe they could have waited and done like 2004 for 25th anniversary or something like that. But anyway, who cares? Now, the thing is, when the first set came out, there was mechanics to the card game. As I mentioned, it is a trading card game. It is a game. It's not just for trading. But when you play the game, the mechanics have evolved over these last 24, 25 years. You know what I mean? Like at this point, 26 years. And cards HP, which is kind of like how much health they have, you know, for people who don't know how the card game works, has only crawled up and up and up. I think there's some cards with over 500 HP, or anyway, really high HP. A low HP would be like something like 20, and high HP we're talking about is like, or something like 40. I don't even know if there's anything at 20 HP anymore. But in the original set, there were, like, because you couldn't do that much damage with the other cards. But then again, as the card game evolved and they wanted people getting interested, they probably said, hey, let's make some of the attacks more powerful. So then we have to make the health obviously more powerful. It's just going to wipe everyone off the board, right? So, again, when growing up in the 90s, as I did, you know, it was just such the rage. And some of my friends tried to play it, but we weren't into playing the game as much as we were trading the cards. And I always think back now, I wonder which cards I may or may not have traded away. Who knows? But again, I think it was a simpler time. It was a simpler time. Now, the Pokemon Company was kind of building up to the 151 set reveal. They were kind of framing it as a celebration of history. And, of course, fans' reactions, you know, anticipations on forums and YouTube and collector communities. Everyone was all stoked. It was an exciting time, right? Now, the thing is that this was a set that was finally dedicated entirely to the originals. And I'll mention another set later, which some of you who know the cards might be reminiscent of. But this is a completely new reimagining, so to speak. As I mentioned before, the cards are for all the 151 in the national decks in order, which has never been done again since the first set. There's special subsets and trainer cards and alternate arts, which are like kind of different cool designs and what have you for the actual artwork. You know, there's full art cards. So there's cards. Again, a Pokemon card is relatively designed. The standard ones, commons and rares, they're called, or uncommon. I don't know if there's uncommons, commons, uncommons, and rares. Anyway, they're kind of set up as many trading card games, a lot like Magic, which is kind of where they evolved from. But Magic cards, if you're familiar with those, or I mean, you could even think of a trading card like a sports card too. If you've ever seen some of these cards, they'll have a picture at the top and then all the stats at the bottom. If there isn't a back to the card, I mean, in Pokemon, there's no back to the card, so all the information is on one side. They have usually like basically a square, almost more of a rectangular shape, but a square up at the top with the artwork of the Pokemon in there, what the Pokemon looks like, its name up at the top left, and then underneath it's some of its statistics, and then its move set. It's like its moves that it's able to do, and their energy requirements in the game. You have to use energy cards to like use the Pokemon's attacks. Blah blah blah. Anyway, generally speaking, that's how the cards are designed. However, there are some other cards like full arts, illustrated rares, and then secret illustrated rares, which are just like more sought after cards. But the full arts are basically the Pokemon itself. It's a larger version of the Pokemon. It's it's taking up essentially all the real estate of the card, so the entire card, and then its moveset is like embossed over the bottom half of the Pokemon, if you look at it that way. And then behind the Pokemon itself is usually just like a solid color kind of thing, or like a little swirl pattern, something, nothing too fancy to distract. It's just about the Pokemon in those cards. They got, some of the legendary Pokemon. They got Mew. They got all kinds of greats. Of course, Pikachu. I don't know if Pikachu's a full art actually in this set, but Charizard, of course, the big boys, Venusaur and Blastoise. The big boys, the big man Blastoise. And of course, there's nods to the references in some of the vintage artwork and stuff. I'm pretty sure the Pikachu is like in the same jungle as one of the original ones or something like that. Anyway, and again, it was kind of taking all the things that the card companies learned today, the modern high quality card printing, foil treatments, but with all these callbacks to the 90s. So super cool. And of course, over these last couple of years, some of these cards have become more sought after. So not only does the company only print so many of these cards, so they actually create this demand, but depending on how the public receives some of the artwork and how they like it and how sought after they feel some of the artwork itself is, some of the cards become a lot more valuable than others, right? So, the chase cards, if you will, so the cards that people are chasing after, the ones that they really want to get in this set, one of the best ones is the Charizard Secret Illustrated Rare. And in fact, actually, the Charizard, the Venusaur, and the Blastoise Secret Illustrations, or the Illustrated Rares to the Secret Illustration Rares, they all kind of, if you stacked them vertically or if you put them next to each other or however you orient them, they're all kind of like part of the same scene, which is really cool. However, the Charizard one for the Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard set is like one of the most sought after 3 cards in the deck. The Charizard itself, I just checked before the podcast, right now is selling for $422.36. That's just the one card, people. That's just one fucking piece of cardboard. And right now, the second most valuable, or one of the second most valuable ones, is Zapdos EX, which is $133.36, which like 2 weeks ago was like $60 or something like that. So this is what I'm talking about. These things fucking jump up that you can wash them like fucking stocks. It's fucking insane. So again, the community response was obviously good. The nostalgia united longtime fans with new players. One of the cool things was it kind of allowed some of the older Pokemon fans, or I guess there's people my age with kids. They could discuss, they could tell their kids stories about when they got the first 151, or when they opened the first original base set, and maybe dig up their old cards if they still have them, and compare notes or whatever, if you will, creating these generational bridges, which is super, super cute. And obviously, like I said, the prices have been skyrocketing. And then for sealed products too, which I think I mentioned on other podcasts, but sealed products is if you let's say you buy a pack of Pokemon cards and you don't open them, that's leaving it sealed. And over time, those products, the larger products, they sell those individual packs in like larger packs. And then so like the more you have, the more that's sealed, the more valuable that will be, because it's already valuable to start with. So like right now, I think when it started, you could get like a box of 6 of those packs for like $80, and now it's like $130, I think, for one of those things, or at least, I don't even know. So anyway, some of these sealed items really go up in value. And that's the funny thing too, right? It's like, it does really touch on this kind of nostalgic thing, with, like I said, whether you have kids or not. Something about revisiting 151 has resonated quite deeply, and I think things are changing. I don't think they're doing another printing, so like it's going to only get more sought after. And I myself am actually trying to complete the set, which is interesting, because a lot of the cards, so you can buy singles now. So what you do is you rip a bunch of packs until you get tired of it, and then you can buy singles. So you can buy like the individual cards. A lot of them are like 10 to 25 cents each. So it's obviously paying money. It's still money, but it's not like insane $400 a card for most of the cards. It's only those little ones. So like those become fine. Like you go to card shows and you see if someone's got a deal, or you watch Facebook and you see if someone's got a deal or want to trade. There's trades. right? So, but again, there's something about 151 that resonates so deeply, and there's something about the completeness of it. It kind of creates this closed loop of collecting where you can really there's an end goal there. You know what I mean? There's not necessarily like I'm just gonna keep collecting for the rest of time. There's an end goal. I'm gonna collect this whole set, and here we go, and then move on to the next set, of course. But we'll see what happens there. Obviously people know these Pokemon instantly, at least the older generation, and then some of the new generation, because Pokemon has done a great job of keeping every generation of Pokemon pretty much relevant, I guess, unless they're like super boring. But like Pokemon Go and all these games and stuff, you still see all these Pokemon. It's just the new set focuses on the newer ones. And of course, emotional triggers, the playground memories, the first packs, the first holos, all this stuff comes back. The smell, everything, right? And there's something about nostalgia, the way nostalgia products, if you will, like if you want to call this one a nostalgia product, act as both comfort and connection. Something about nostalgia gives you this comfort. It feels, you feel like, oh, I recognize this, at least, especially in these uncertain times. So again, this set itself has had a major impact on Pokemon. The trading, the card game itself have, maybe this is part of the big boom that's been happening lately. I mean, like, I don't even think it's been a year that I've wanted to get back into collecting Pokemon cards, but maybe this has been a part of this whole big, huge movement that's starting this huge movement. Will we see more nostalgia focused sets? I mean, there was in 2016, they had XY Evolutions, which was essentially like a reprint of like the base set. So that was kind of an interesting one, even though some of the fancy cards were different, just again, trying to keep up with the new game mechanics. I mean, this of course cements the 151 as the eternally iconic Pokemon. But that's the thing with Pokemon. If they know anything as a company, they don't just sell cards, they sell memories. They sell belonging. They sell the magic of discovery. And you can look at that any way you want. But again, whether you're young or old, you're getting into this. It's fun. I mean, fucking people collect. Humans collect. Magpies fucking collect shit. It's all about the game and how you play it. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, this 151 set isn't just about the cards. It's about reminding us why we fell in love with Pokemon in the first place, right? The 151 set is definitely both a celebration of history and a marker of how far the trading card game has come. Maybe we'll go back into future episodes. Maybe there'll be another set. Maybe I'll celebrate completing the master set. Hopefully one day, at least, the way things are going. But yeah, if you got any cards, fucking hit me up. No, I remember running into one of my friends at one of the card shows, and she's gotten into selling the cards too. So hopefully I got a little in there. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. Go out there, collect what you want, have fun, chase that nostalgia. Who cares? It's comfortable. Anyway. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week. Peace.